Hello, I'm back. Um, this is me, Dr. Catherine Toomer, family medicine and community health physician, and founder of Total Weight Care Institute, where I help people maximize their health and wellness through weight care and also um, help other physicians help their patients maximize their health and wellness through complete and compassionate weight care as well. And I just want to thank you for coming today and for always showing up every week, but also to please share the videos even once we're done if you find them helpful, but also to follow me on Facebook, follow blackdoctor.org on Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channels. And that way you'll always know when I'm on. And so it'll be every week, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And so I appreciate you coming. Hello, Val. Thank you for being here. So, again, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer, and this is my show, Dr. Toomer Talks. And today, what I wanted to talk about actually was something that came up rather recently. And it's about self-love. I hear you, we throw this around a lot. Self-love, self-care, they kind of overlap, but they're not exactly the same thing. And so, um, what exactly is self-love? Really, the best definition is it is when we treat ourselves in the way we want other people to treat us. And that may seem rather odd to say, but if you really think about how we speak to ourselves, what we say about ourselves and to ourselves on a daily basis throughout the day, many of those things that we say, we would never accept from other people. If other people were to speak to us in the way we speak to ourselves or say some of the things that we say to ourselves, we would cut them off. We would never associate it, associate with them. And so, so starting off with just the very definition of self-love is simply treating yourself the way you want others to treat you. Because we often, in showing love to others, we treat other people in the way we want to be treated when we want to show them love. And it's the same in return for ourselves. And and so why is this so important, and why does this keep coming up? As those of you who know, I help people with weight health. But weight health means healthy at any weight. It's not being thin. It's not about weight loss. It's about being healthy at whatever weight, whether you need to gain weight, stay the same weight, or lose weight, but it has to do more with gaining of fat, losing of fat, or gaining muscle and losing fat. And if that changes on a scale, then it changes on a scale. Sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does. And so it's really important that being healthy at any weight is the cornerstone of what I do. However, health means biologically healthy, psychologically healthy, and socially healthy. And it's really difficult to be psychologically healthy unless you love yourself or like yourself or appreciate the things that your body does. And because what it does, it changes our expectations of what we expect from others, what we expect from ourselves, and what we expect from life and the world around us. And because it changes the filter in which we allow information to be processed. And so that's why self-love is so important, because when we love ourselves, we protect ourselves from the information, from the events, and from the things that come at us on a day-to-day basis. It is more protective. And the caveat, the opposite of that is if we don't love ourselves, we are not protected against those things. And so and if you hear the word self-esteem, it makes sense that self-esteem and self-love are connected, because what you will allow is based on your self-esteem, and your self-esteem is based on how you view yourself, and how you view yourself is a lot largely based on the things you say about yourself, what you tell yourself about who you are to yourself. And so often when we talk about self-love, we talk about affirmations, saying in the mirror, looking at yourself and smiling. Those things help. They really are, and they're very empowering, but it's not enough. I often tell the story of people say, I don't like the way I look. And I ask them, well, how much do your eyes weigh? And they were like, what do you mean, my eyes? I said, when you get up to a mirror and you look yourself in the eye, how much do they weigh? Because if you're telling me you don't like yourself because of your weight, how much do your eyes weigh? Well, if you look up close and you look at yourself in the eyes and you smile and you like your eyes, well, then you do like yourself. And it's not about your weight because how much do your eyes weigh? So what that means is it's either how you're looking at yourself or where you're looking. If you like things about yourself, then you like them. And when you look at things that you quote unquote do not like, why? Who gave us the message that things in our body should be a certain way? Where did we get the message that, at 50 years old, my body's supposed to look the same as it did when I was 25? It's not realistic. The expectations are off. And especially when looking at ourselves and saying, I don't like, say, the size of my stomach. I don't like the rolls of the fat on my back. How did they get there? Was it by magic? Was it because you had children? Was it because you enjoyed, vacations and meals or wonderful meals that your spouse cooked for you? Or maybe it was travels throughout the world and you enjoyed yourself. Where does it come from? And what would you be willing to give up then to not have that part of your body that you don't like? I know I wouldn't be willing to give up my children to have a flat stomach. I wouldn't want to give up any amount of wrinkles for the time that I spent in the sun somewhere that I really loved. And so when we're looking at ourselves and talking about parts of ourselves that we don't like, how did they get there? And are there experiences attached that we'd be willing to give back? So reframe it. Because I know there are a lot of things about my body that society has told me shouldn't be there. Stretch marks, rolls, extra fat in places where maybe, someone else says it shouldn't be there, but they got there for a reason. And they got there for a reason that I would never give back. And so that's something to remind ourselves when we're looking and saying things to ourselves that, about our bodies and are loving ourselves or things about ourselves that we like or don't like. Think about how they came about and are we willing to would we be willing to give those things up? So sometimes instead of saying, I don't like my stretch marks, what I say is they are the privilege that I have. I have the privilege of having stretch marks because I had children. That was my privilege. And that is definitely, and so, like I said, if you tie things that you don't, you say you don't like to the things that you appreciate having, then suddenly, how can you not like those things? Because otherwise, you know, I do not want my 20-year-old body because that would mean all the experiences I've had, all the things that I've had will all have gone away. That means none of those things could have happened. The other thing that our body does is keep us alive. There are many mechanisms going on in our body right now that allow us to breathe, to see, to hear, to move, to enjoy air, to enjoy sunshine, to enjoy the taste of foods, to enjoy the laughter of babies that our body affords us. Our body gives those things to us. And so therefore, saying things about our body that we don't like, would we rather remove all those things? Because there's a lot more things that we enjoy, the things that we do that our body allows us to, than things that we don't. And so it's really about reminding ourselves what our body can do and what it does, what it's given us, and what is prevented from happening to us, either because we were strong enough to move out of a way of something, or we were able to avoid a bad situation, or we were able to reflect on something that allowed us to make changes. Those are all part of the human condition and all things that our body, our mind allows us to do. And then it also helps us to release the negativity. And all of this is really, really important because our body cannot tell the difference between bullying if it's someone else or if it's ourselves. Our body responds in the exact same way, very negatively, very hormonally, when we are our own bully, sometimes even more so. But what bullying does is it raises our cortisol levels. And you hear me talk about cortisol a lot. And what cortisol does is that it does a lot of things. And one of them is that it makes us age a whole lot faster. It keeps our body from correcting DNA damage. Now, when we are unable to correct DNA damage, that's how cancers are formed. Whoever thought you could connect what you say to yourself to having cancer? Bullying also affects a person's self-worth. It affects a person's self-esteem. When your self-worth and your self-esteem is affected, again, you cannot protect yourself. It is much harder to protect yourself from things that come at you. It's harder to then filter out a lot of the negativity that comes at you. And I know it's very difficult, particularly for those of us who've ever dealt with any type of a weight issue, because the world has told us there are a lot of things that are wrong with us and that it's all our fault. However, I'm here to tell you that's not true, and that you can prevent some of that from happening by simply reframing the things that you hear and the things that you say to yourself. And so the ramifications, the biological ramifications I talk about a lot, um, are insulin resistance, weight gain, easy fat production, difficult fat losing, heart disease, kidney disease, eyes changing, vision changes, hearing, gastrointestinal issues, psychological, depression, anxiety, um, self-esteem. Those are all affected by the things we say to ourselves. And then social. They say we are what we eat. We are what we consume within ourselves and around ourselves. And that includes the people we associate with. And so if we are unable to protect ourselves from ourselves, we generally don't protect ourselves from the people that are around us either. And we all know that that is often where danger lies. It is how other people behave and what we allow in our presence. And so self-love, it is protective on so many different levels, and it is destructive on many levels if you allow it to be. And standing in a mirror and saying affirmations are nice, but what it takes is a muscle of reframing things that you say to yourself. I don't like my stomach because it's big, as opposed to this is the stomach I was given the privilege of having for having the babies that I have. I wish I didn't have cellulite or stress marks. Cellulite, well, for one thing, is genetically passed along. So would you rather not have the parents you have? Or would you rather not have cellulite and have somebody else's parents? Probably not. Um, so really, it's just a matter of really just connecting where you are and what you are to experiences that you would never give up, to things that you would never, because that is the privilege. It's not the price we pay, it's the privilege we have of having had those experiences, having had those things happen around us. that if we were to give that up, would we be willing to take our body back or have our body change and give up those experiences? More often, we wouldn't. So, again, I'm Dr. Catherine Toomer. I'm a family medicine community health physician, founder of Total Weight Care Institute. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them. And I see some coming up. And if you have some now, I will. The other is if you put them in the comments, either here or in my YouTube channel, I will see them. I don't always see them if they're posted under the blackdoctor.org. I have to figure out a better way of getting those notifications. But I do see, I answer when someone responds and someone says something. And so good evening to all of those who've come. Thank you very much. Tavi asked, where am I located? I don't, in the world, I'm in the United States, since I have people who watch from all over the world. I'm in the Southeast in South Carolina. And hello, Patrick. Hello, Ebony. Thank you for coming. Silas, you're watching from the Western Kenya. Oh, Kakamega County. Wow. Well, thank you for joining. I don't know if you know this, but I actually grew up in Nairobi. So thank you for joining me from home. I'm not sure what that means. Now, someone wrote stress eating, trauma eating. I'd given up eating as a coping mechanism. It's very, and that's a very difficult thing to do, especially when stress in and of itself changes the molecular structure of what happens in your brain. And when the molecular structure, the metabolic structure of what happens in your brain changes, it actually drives you to eat, particularly carbohydrates. And so that's why stress eating is not the stress that causes you to eat. It's the stress creating a metabolic change, then that metabolic change driving you to eat. Patsy says hello from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Hello, Patsy. And from Raleigh, North Carolina. Nice. Thank you for joining. So if you have any questions, like I said, I'll answer them now. And they can be about what I talked about tonight or something that I've talked about previously. If not, then you can leave questions in the comments and I will come back through and I will answer them. So thank you, Ebony. Yes. It says very insightful. I appreciate that. And it was actually came about because I do a lot of coaching. I see patients one-on-one, helping them maintain or their weight health. And one of the things that comes up often is people wanting to spot lose weight, which isn't possible. When you lose weight, it's either your whole body or but if you're someone who, particularly women often hear, I don't like the size of my stomach. And I often then hear, ever since I had children. So my first thought is, would you rather give up your children to have your flat stomach back? And usually the answer is no. I said, so stop looking at it as if your stomach's too big. Look at it as the privilege of having your babies, because ultimately that's what it is. So it's not always what we're looking at, it's how we're looking. So, well, thank you for coming from Greenville, from all over, Lawrence, North Carolina, from Kenya. And I appreciate you all being here, and I'll see you again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for Dr. Toomer Talks. And from Beaufort, South Carolina. That's where my last baby was born. Ebony asks, where can I find your social media handles? I am Dr. Toomer, that's DRTOOMER, everywhere. On Facebook, on YouTube. I'm Dr. Toomer Talks on TikTok. I'm not as active on Instagram, but as I am, that will also be the handle there. So that is the best way to find me. I am very active on Facebook. And if you'd like, I have a group, a public group that anyone can join where I answer questions, I give information, I share quite a bit. And it is facebook.com/groups/total weight loss. And I'm going to put it in the comments real quick. We aren't going to be on for too much longer, so make sure you grab it if you want to. So it's facebook.com/groups/total facebook.com/groups/total weight loss. And that's a group you can join. Make sure you answer the questions so that I know you're real. Um, and make sure that we'll let you in because one of the issues we're running into is that there are several bots um, accounts on Facebook. And so without the questions being answered, it's very difficult to tell if you're a bot or not. So, um, uh, Gustava says your first time watching from Ohio. Well, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. If you're coming up for the first time and you want to see some of my old things, you can go to my YouTube channel or blackdoctor.org YouTube channel, and you can find if you look under the live tab, it will be all the prior shows. But I am here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. So definitely join me. So. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope what I said resonated in some way. And like again, if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments, and I'll come back and answer them. All right. Good night.